You won't believe this one, because what's unfolding right now could shake the very foundation of the British royal family. For years, people whispered behind closed doors about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's children, the mysteries, the inconsistencies, the things that just didn't fit. But those whispers, oh, they've turned into full-blown questions, real, documented, hard evidence questions. And right at the center of this royal storm is Princess Lilibet Diana, Harry and Meghan's darling daughter, or is she? Now, let's rewind the 4th of June 2021. Meghan and Harry announced to the world that their baby girl has arrived. Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor, born in California, healthy, beautiful, named after Queen Elizabeth's childhood nickname and Princess Diana, Harry's late mother. It all looked like a fairy tale, the smiling baby, the glowing parents, the royal headlines splashed everywhere. But underneath that perfect PR image, something doesn't add up. Because as investigators started digging into the official paperwork, the story took a dark, confusing turn. The records, the actual data behind Lilibet's supposed birth are full of contradictions, numbers that don't match, documents that lead nowhere, and a doctor who vanished from practice days after the birth. You heard that right, vanished. Piece by piece, what looked like a royal birth began to feel like a carefully managed secret. And now, for the first time ever, people are asking out loud what the royals hoped no one would dare to whisper. Was Lilibet actually adopted? Because if she was, if even a piece of that rumor is true, it could throw the line of royal succession into absolute chaos. And Meghan Markle? She'd be standing in the eye of the biggest royal scandal in decades. Let's break it down, because not everyone knows how strict the rules of succession really are. To be in line for the throne, you can't just be royal. You have to tick off 4 boxes, no exceptions, and they must be a man and a woman. Easy, Harry and Meghan fit that. 2, they must be legally married in the Church of England. Check again, the big royal wedding at St. George's Chapel sealed that. The child must be conceived naturally. No surrogates, no secret adoptions, no baby swaps. That's a deal breaker. 4, and the child must be born from the body of the mother with a verified public record. The doctor's name, the hospital, the signatures, everything transparent, everything official. And this is where it gets serious, because Archie is 6th in line to the throne and Lilibet is 7th. We're not talking about rumor mill fluff here. We're talking about documents that decide who can be king or queen of England. Now, according to the story the world was told, Meghan gave birth at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital, a cozy California spot near their Montecito mansion. Sounds nice, right? Royal couple even released that perfect baby photo, Lilibet smiling in the grass. The press gushed. The palace said nothing. Everything was calm. But then the internet sleuths came knocking and the cracks started to show. A California birth certificate surfaced online, supposedly proving Lilibet's birth. It looked normal at first glance, name, date, parents, hospital, until sharp-eyed investigators noticed something off. The numbers. Hidden inside every birth certificate is a code, a set of digits that quietly identifies the state where the child was born. Think of it like a fingerprint. In California, that state code is 104, but on Lilibet's certificate, the code read 105. And here's the bombshell. 105 belongs to Colorado, not California. If a certificate says Santa Barbara but carries Colorado's code, that's not a typo. That's a mismatch. That shouldn't exist. That one little number cracked the royal illusion wide open. Because if the certificate truly came from California, it would have been coded 104, end of story. If it's 105, it didn't originate there, period. And guess what? It's never been corrected. So naturally, the next step was to verify it. An investigator, the same one whose notes started circulating online, filed an official request with the California Vital Records Office. They filled the forms, paid the fee, everything by the book. And what did California send back? A shocking letter, no record found. That's right, no record of a baby named Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor, born the 4th of June, 2021 at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital. Instead, they issued a document called a Certificate of No Public Record, which means when someone actually checks the database, the real state registry, there's nothing there. No Lilibet, no official record. So while tabloids were showing pictures of a birth certificate, the official government files were showing nothing at all. And if that wasn't enough to raise suspicion, wait for this. The doctor who supposedly delivered Lilibet, Dr. Melissa Drake, suddenly shut down her medical practice right after the birth. Her public notice to patients said she was focusing on her health and family. Innocent? Maybe. But guess what her husband does? He runs a fertility clinic. That little detail added gasoline to the fire. Fertility, surrogacy, secrecy, it all started to form a suspicious picture. Because how often does a prominent obstetrician disappear from her job days after delivering one of the most talked about babies in the world? Something was off. So now the puzzle had 3 obvious red flags: the Colorado code that doesn't belong on a California certificate, the no record found notice from the official registry, and the doctor's sudden disappearance. Individually, maybe you could explain each away. Together, it looks like a carefully constructed illusion, one meant to look perfect from afar but crumble under scrutiny. And it did. Because when that investigator followed up with a 25-minute phone call to California's Vital Records office, a staff member confirmed on record, California codes are always 104, never 105. Boom. Confirmation. Not a conspiracy theory, an official admission that the code on Lilibet's document doesn't belong to the state of California at all. That's when the real panic started, at least behind palace walls. But it didn't stop there. The investigator went international. They reached out to the UK Parliament under the Freedom of Information Act, asking for verification of Archie's birthplace at Portland Hospital in London. Parliament responded saying they're not a hospital and can't confirm anything, suggesting the person contact Buckingham Palace instead. And what did the palace say? Nothing. Because the royal family isn't bound by freedom of information laws. In other words, a dead end. So on one side, US officials say there's no record. On the other, the UK government won't answer. And in the middle, 2 royal children whose eligibility for the crown depends entirely on paperwork that no one can or will verify. Think about that. Every royal baby before them had transparent documentation, a signed doctor's notice pinned to the palace gates, a public announcement verified by the crown itself. But Archie and Lilibet? Silence, mystery, gaps. And that's why this story has exploded, because it's not just gossip anymore, it's about the legitimacy of the monarchy itself. At this point, the story turned from curious to chaotic, because if the paperwork isn't clean, then Harry and Meghan's children's royal titles could be at risk. Remember, the 4 succession rules are absolute. If even one is violated, that child's claim vanishes. Gone. And when you realize that Lilibet and Archie's names were added to the official line of succession months after their births, not immediately. As tradition dictates, that delay suddenly feels suspicious, doesn't it? The palace never explained why it took so long. So what's really happening here? Let's look at the theories. Option 1, a clerical mistake. Maybe someone at the registry mistyped a number 104 instead of 105. But would such a high-profile couple, the most media-watched parents on Earth, allow a massive error like that to go uncorrected? Unlikely. Option 2, a surrogate or adoption. If Meghan didn't physically give birth to Lilibet, the 4th rule collapses and Lilibet's royal eligibility disappears with it. That would explain the missing records, the hush-hush doctor, the perfect timing of Drake's retirement, and the media silence. Option 3, a deliberate cover-up. If everyone involved, the palace, the press, even US offices, knows the paperwork doesn't add up but agrees to keep the public distracted with small, meaningless details, then the truth gets buried. Under royal protocol. Whatever the truth, one fact remains. If Lilibet's birth certificate is wrong, Archie's could be too. And that means both royal children might not even belong in the line of succession. But for now, the official royal website lists Archie as 6th and Lilibet as 7th. The monarchy continues as if nothing's wrong, but under the surface, something feels very, very wrong. And this is where it all explodes. Because when the truth starts slipping through cracks this wide, even the royal PR machine can't keep it sealed. Inside palace walls, whispers reportedly turned into panic. Staffers were allegedly told to stick to the story. Meghan's team started doing damage control before questions even hit the mainstream. Harry, on the other hand, furious. People close to the couple claim he felt betrayed, that internal details were somehow leaking, especially from within the hospital that supposedly delivered their daughter. And when you pair that with a doctor who walked away from her practice within days, a hospital that never confirmed anything publicly, and a state registry that says no record exists, the whispers start turning into something else entirely. Suspicions of a royal cover-up. Now, this isn't the first time Harry and Meghan have been accused of playing fast and loose with the truth. Remember the Oprah interview, the claims that later didn't line up with verifiable facts? The pattern is there. But this is on another level. Because if this birth controversy proves real, it's not just a scandal, it's a threat to the monarchy's integrity. And the timing couldn't be worse. With the king's health under scrutiny, Prince William's family representing the crown, and public trust in the monarchy already shaken, a single revelation like this could ignite a constitutional firestorm. Imagine it. Official papers revealing that the 7th in line to the throne was never properly recorded as being born in the country claimed. Imagine the public outrage, the political fallout, the palace silence, because that's exactly what's happening right now. Royal aides refuse to comment. The California Health Department won't confirm or deny. And Meghan and Harry, they've doubled down on silence, which, for a couple who used to live in publicity, speaks louder than words. But let's play devil's advocate for a moment. Maybe, just maybe, this was all a bureaucratic fluke. Maybe someone typed 105 instead of 104. Maybe the doctor's departure really was about health. Maybe the state withheld the record for privacy? Possible? Yes. Probable? Not when every single oddity aligns perfectly to form one haunting question. Was this royal birth ever real? Because in a world where perception is everything, sometimes the truth isn't what's announced, it's what's missing from the announcement. And here's the part the palace doesn't want you to think. If this birth wasn't legitimate by royal standards, it doesn't just affect Lilibet, it affects Archie too. The same secrecies surrounded his birth, no doctor's announcement, no transparent record, and again, long delays before he appeared on the line of succession list. If both children's paperwork is flawed, the Sussex family's royal ties could crumble not by scandal, but by law. That's why, reportedly, the palace's legal teams have been quietly reviewing succession policies not because they want to, but because they have to. The monarchy cannot afford a fake entry in its bloodline ledger, and yet, the silence continues. The palace won't talk. Meghan won't clarify. Harry avoids every question about birth records like it's a trap. But behind that silence, the tension grows. In Montecito, sources say Meghan is furious that this old controversy has resurfaced. She insists she's being targeted by lies. Meanwhile, British tabloids are feasting on the inconsistencies, comparing time zones, registration codes, and even analyzing the fonts on that mysterious certificate. And the public, torn between disbelief and obsession. This isn't just gossip anymore, it's a modern royal mystery. A story about power, privilege, and the fragile line between truth and illusion. Because until the discrepancies are explained, until the doctor speaks up, and until the real California registry shows that birth, Lilibet's identity remains under a cloud. And shadows in the royal family, they don't disappear, they grow. Final monologue, host emotionally. If there's one thing history has taught us, it's that royal secrets never stay buried forever. The truth always finds its way out, and when it does, it doesn't just embarrass people, it shakes crowns. And this time, that crown might tremble in California.